you are not making the progress you want to make in your dissertation because you're doing things that sound logical and sound like they would be a good idea, but are actually wasting all of your time. If you don't know who I am Dr. Marvette Lacey. I will help you write your dissertation in 12 months or less by following a 10-hour weekly writing routine. If you're coming in, say hi. And I am curious, as you're coming in, please let me know in the chat, what is one big way that you are wasting time currently in your process, whether you are in coursework, whether you are in exams, or you're doing a dissertation. How would you say is one of the biggest ways that you are wasting time throughout your regular week, throughout your regular day? I am just coming from the Finish Your Dissertation Institute, which is where I help students write their dissertation. We just had a call and we were talking about what are the habits we need to say yes to and what are the habits we need to say no to. So every month inside the program, I ask students to say, what is one thing that you are committing to doing by the end of the month? So October, what is one thing? Your one thing could be, I'm going to write my literature review, or I'm going to defend my exams, or I'm going to collect data. But you want to try to have one goal that will move the needle like 10% forward in you and your dissertation process, but you want to focus all of your time and your attention for the month on that one goal. And I guess I can get this list starting right now. One of the biggest things that wastes our time is trying to have too many goals because we think that we're working smarter when really we're just working harder. Because think about it, if all of your time and attention is focused on one thing, you would get that done faster and then you can move on to the next. But because the dissertation has so many moving parts, or just even coursework, right, can have so many moving parts, you think I need to pay attention to all of this. But your brain is not designed to constantly switch back and forth from tasks. It's designed to focus on one thing and see that through to completion. So if you are here, please let me know, what is one big way, and I'm going to give you some lists. I'm looking over here at my notes. What is one big way that you are wasting time currently? I didn't do my citations and footnotes along the way. Is that wasting time? Because here's the thing. I was watching a video from another dissertation coach. We're close, we've known each other. We've been doing this for about the same time. And she had this video where she was talking to her clients about waiting until the end to do the footnotes, because your paper is going to change a lot, right? You're going to have updates. And if you're doing the footnotes along the way at the bottom, especially with the formatting, I forgot what the system is, but if you go in there and you're trying to add, you may change something and now you got to spend all this time. You have to keep updating the formatting and the footnotes. Now, I know it's annoying to do them all at once and to look at your citation all at once, but remember what I just said about your brain likes to do the same task over and over, because when you're doing the same thing over and over, you get faster and faster and faster. So it's tedious. Right, you might need to go put on some music, because I would be like, where the Megan Thee Stallion? Because that's the only thing that's going to get me through this tedious, boring task. It's just annoying. And that's separate from, because your brain will lie to you and say, well, if you was doing this along the way, it wouldn't feel annoying. No, it would still feel annoying. It would still feel hard. It would still feel tedious. So yes. Thank you, though, for letting me know. I'm here to learn, finishing my 3rd year this semester for my BA. Congratulations. Yeah, this is going to be helpful for anybody, because really I'm talking about in general, because these are some of the things I still have to catch myself when doing. Okay, I've been having wine at this stage. What type of wine? Me, I love a good Merlot, or oh, why is my brain blanking? Because I haven't had wine in a long time. It's another M. It's going to come to me, but I'm a dark red person. I don't really like sweet. I'm like, give me the red wine, but I had to give up the wine because it wouldn't let me be great and go to sleep. It wouldn't let me be great. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, and if you're writing a literature review, this is the final day to sign up for our Write Your Literature Review retreat if you want to come in person, but we also have a virtual option. And all you need to do is put lit in the comments and you'll get the link. Yes, Amal back. Thank y'all. Come on, I appreciate you. Yes, because I would go to the store and be like, yes, give me all of it. And my PhD program, I'm not ashamed to say it, okay? I at a minimum had a bottle a week, if not more, because Yes, if you know my story, especially during that dissertation process when I had to do it in 2.5 months, marijuana and malt back. Okay, that was my secret to getting through. And coffee from Starbucks. All right, that's why I had to do a lot of healing afterwards. Okay, well, speaking of, the first thing that is wasting your time that you may not think of as a time waster is you're not sleeping enough. I know that's probably a wild way to start this conversation, but hear me out. You're probably not sleeping enough. Your brain does not work well when you don't get a lot of sleep. And I get that there's all sorts of things of why we have a hard time going to sleep. Like right now, I don't know if it's the eclipse. Okay, I don't know what's happening, but my brain is like, sleep. We're not doing that. And so what I ask students to do is, even if you can't sleep, to lay down. Be horizontal for at least 7 hours a day. The goal is to get at least 7 hours of sleep, but if you can't do that, to lay down and rest your body for at least 7 hours a day. Because your brain and your body needs to be at a level where it can do what I call its nightly cleaning routine. During the night when you're sleeping, your brain is like, whoo, we took in a lot of information. A lot of it is useless, so we need to throw it away. Some of it we need to organize in file folders and put it in long-term storage, right? We need to clean up some other things and reset for the next day. But if you do not lay down or sleep long enough, your brain cannot do that. And so when you wake up the next day, then it's like, I call it like you're missing or dropping file folders. Like you go to talk, like I'm doing right now, you go to talk and the words are not coming, or you're trying to write or focus on details like doing footnotes, and you're having a harder time focusing, which means it's going to take you more time to do something that was supposed to take you 5 minutes. It's now taking you like 20, 30 minutes. And that may not seem like a big deal in the moment, but when it adds up over time, you're like, if I would just go to sleep, I could get things done. But maybe you're not feeling that. Number 2, you think everything on your to-do list is of equal importance. Right? You think because you wrote it down on your to-do list, everything needs your same level of intensity, effort, and time. Some of that, I'm trying not to cuss so early into this, but some of that you don't know. Some of that just needs to get done, and it needs to be like, oh, I just put something down on a piece of paper and I moved on. Some of it you do want to give your time and attention. What I find that I do and what other people do, and I'll make sure I include me in here, I can get into the habit of like everything. I have a way of, I see it in my head and I want to do it. And then I may start with whatever is on the top of my to-do list. Just say like I made a to-do list. I didn't do any prioritizing or anything. And I just may start with the first item, and I'm making sure like it's all my I's are dotted, all my T's are crossed. And I'm putting all this time and attention to make sure I do it the right way. And I go do that, and then I try to move on to the next item on the list, which is actually something that needs to get done today, and it needs to be done well. But now I don't have the same energy and focus to be able to do the second item well, because I gave all that time and attention and that focus to the first one that really wasn't that important. And we do that all the time. And it's on one hand, it's because we didn't take the time to prioritize the list. But on the other hand, it's like, we didn't give ourselves a chance to say, does it need this level of attention? Do we need to do everything well? Does everything need to be done at 1000%? Now, some of you are going to reject this. Some of you are going to be like, that is my reputation. I want you to think about at work. Do you go to work? Do you give work, if you work, whether it's a part-time, full-time, an assistantship, what have you, do you give work the same level of attention that you give your dissertation? Because most of you are giving work all of your good energy. Like most of you are like getting out the bed and going to work because it's your job. You got to be serious. Like this is how you get paid. And you give whatever left over to your dissertation or to your writing. But then in the same breath, you will say, I just want to be done with this dissertation. Dr. Lace, like, I just want this to be done well. But your actions, your behavior, how you spend your time and your energy says, no, your job is more important than the dissertation. Because we say, based on how we use our time and energy, that's really what is important to us, whether we're conscious of it or not. When you keep saying yes to the extra like committees and the like, oh, can you do this for me really quickly at work? and you keep telling yourself, well, this is the only way I'm going to live, which is not true. You're saying yes to extra. Every time you say yes to something like that, you're saying no to your dissertation. You're saying no to the thing that you said was your priority. It's hard to remember that in the moment, which is why inside the group, like yesterday, I was like, you need to figure out, okay, what is it that you're going to get done this week? How do you prioritize your dissertation? Because you said that's your main priority. And how can you give whatever is left over to your job? What is the worst that is going to happen? Now I'm going down this rabbit hole, so go with me. What's the worst that's going to happen if you give your job the bare minimum? We use something inside of Quad Scholars where we say do the bare minimum, because the assumption there is that your 10% is everybody else's 90%. Let me say it again. Your 10% is everyone else's 90%. How do I know that's true? You wouldn't make it to a terminal degree if that wasn't true. There's a reason why there's only 3% of the world's population called doctor. Everyone cannot do that. In order to do something like become a doctor, you have experience, knowledge, a work ethic that outmatches like most people, because most people don't have the reps built in. They haven't been in school. They haven't been reading all of these things. They haven't been writing all of these things, right? They haven't had to juggle going to school full time and like working full time or whatever the combination there is. You are playing at the professional league level, and everybody else, right? Most people stopped at the high school level. Maybe some people, I think it's only like 30 to 40% of people have a 4-year degree. You have outpaced them. So it is true then that your 10% is their 90%. Your job is to trust that. Your job is to start seeing how that is true. Because the more that you trust that my 10% is their 90%, then you'll be more willing to show up and give the bare minimum. And knowing that it's still going to be more than enough, it's going to meet more, what is the thing? More than expectations, or whatever the saying is on the evaluation. If you trust yourself and you trust the past experience that you have, what if I'm right? If you're having a hard time, agreeing with me or like seeing it how I'm seeing it, I want you to ask yourself, what if I'm right? What if I'm right that your 10% is everyone else's 90%? Where has that been true? Even if it hasn't been true everywhere in your life, where has that been true? And if you're feeling brave, I would love for you to let me know in the chat. Where has that been true that when, because of circumstances, and this usually happens when there's a paper you have to write. Like if you think back to one of those class assignments where maybe you forget, because I forget about all the things, ADHD, right? Like I forget. And it's like, oh, there's a paper due and it's 11 o'clock and it's due at 11:59. Let me go ahead and put something on the page. It may not be an A. That's my thinking. It may not be an A, but at least I can get some points. And then it never fails that you usually get like a B or an A. And that is where we get the thing of we say, oh, I work better under pressure. That is true. Why? Because your 10% is everybody else's 90%. Can I at least get a 1 in the chat if you're kind of feeling me? If you can get with this whole your 10% is everybody else's 90%. I just want to see if y'all are here with me. If you following me, that is helpful. So let me know. Thank you for the hearts. All right, number 3, the thing that is wasting your time, the notifications. The notifications on your phone, cut them off. Cut them off. I need you to have the millennial spirit of putting your phone on do not disturb, okay? Like, we don't need any more notifications. You may not think it's a big deal to get a notification about a new text or a new email or, oh, a new video has been posted. It's a big deal. It takes on average the brain 23 minutes to get back on track, like to get refocused once your focus has been interrupted. Think about it. It takes on average 23 minutes. Now, I know somebody right now is like, you don't know me, girl. You don't know me. I can multitask. I multitask really well. Okay, I'm going back down this rabbit hole. The only reason why you're multitasking very well is because you are harming yourself. It's a cost to that. You're either denying yourself food, you're denying yourself a break, you're denying yourself like rest time. You're paying the cost somewhere, because brains There's only like, I think it's like a tenth of a percentage of people who can technically multitask. But even then, they're not multitasking. They're just switching very quickly from task to task. Our brains are meant to focus on one thing at a time. So let's say you're trying to write a section of your, I don't know, methods chapter, and then someone knocks on the door or the phone rings. When your brain has to stop writing, even though it's in mid-sentence, and it has to look at the phone, and then it has to read the notification or read who's calling. It has to figure out, who is this person? Will I pick up the phone? I don't know. What do I think they want? I don't know. Let me read the message. Oh, I'll respond to them later. And then you get back to it. You have already took your brain off track. So now it has to start all the way over to figure out, okay, where was I at? What was I saying? Why was I even writing this sentence? This sentence doesn't even make sense. This whole paragraph doesn't make sense. Let me delete it. Let me start over. Let me go read. Oh, that email. Now you're down rabbit holes because you had your notifications on. And that takes a lot of time when you're constantly trying to switch from thing to thing. And that is probably why you feel a lot of like frustration and overwhelm when you're trying to write. This is a side note. I wasn't going to even talk about this. Most of you, the reason why writing is so challenging, the reason why you're having a hard time being consistent is because of the emotions associated with the writing. Writing is already emotional. And then when you are switching and you're being overwhelmed, now you're putting you're putting pressure on top of the emotional process of writing. And so it just becomes too much. And then you're like, I just need a break. And then that break that was supposed to be for a day ends up being for weeks or months at a time. And then you might be thinking, oh, I'm just lazy. I just need to get it together. I just need to be organized. Nope, you need to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. You need to cut off all notifications. You need to tell yourself, like, where can I go that I'll have the least amount of distractions for me? Because I love to go to a coffee shop or a restaurant. That's not a distraction for me to have people around me. It becomes a distraction when people want to talk to me or my phone is going off. So I keep it on Do Not Disturb, or I put it on the like focus mode or whatever. And that helps me to stay, like, to get the thing done. All right. My buttocks is itchy. I'm having a hard time sitting down to write. What's going to happen if you write? Like, say if you just sat down right now, and I use this, what I call a shitty paragraph. A shitty paragraph is just a collection of 4 sentences that you put together. Those sentences, they do not have to even make sense. You can just sit down and write whatever comes to your mind. And I literally mean whatever comes to your mind. So if you sat down right now and you were like, Dr. Lacey doesn't know what she's talking about. Ooh, I wish I was eating cookies. Oh, I wonder what I'm supposed to be writing about. Oh, I guess my topic is this. Even if you wrote that and you did 4 sentences and called it a day, that would be a shitty paragraph. What's the worst that would happen if you did that? That's my first question to you. What's the worst that would happen if you just did that? What I know will happen is if you can get yourself to sit down and write a shitty paragraph and you actually do the 4 sentences, your brain would be like, oh, that's not so bad. Let me keep going. And if you allow yourself to keep going, like if you allow yourself to write whatever is coming to your mind, what that does is it gives your brain a chance to catch up to, oh, we're writing. Oh, we're supposed to be writing about that, whatever your assignment is or your goal is. Oh, let me go get the file folders to help write that thing. And eventually you'll start putting words on the page that you can actually use for the draft. Remember what I said, it takes the brain on average 23 minutes to get focused, to get back on task. Most of you are simply not giving your brain enough time to catch up to the fact that you are writing something academic. Because you've been going to work all day, you've probably been chasing kids all day, right? You've probably been laying on the couch scrolling TikTok like me, okay? Because I got several things I'm like deep in the rabbit holes down, okay? To switch from that, to transition from whatever you were doing before you sat down to write, it's going to take at least 23 minutes. So you need something that allow you to take action, to get your brain warmed up so that it knows, oh, we're supposed to be writing right now. Because it's just like a workout. Like when I go to the gym, I don't want to go. When I go get on a treadmill because I'm training for a half marathon, when I go get on the treadmill, I'm like, I do not want to do this. My rule is you just have to stay on this treadmill for 15 minutes. If at the end of the 15 minutes you don't want to do this anymore, you get to go home. Because I know on average it takes me about 15 minutes before I'm like, okay, we're doing this. I might as well finish the rest of the hour. And 9 times out of 10, I will finish the hour. There are some occasions where I'm like, no, I don't have it. And then I go home and I don't make myself feel bad about it. I don't shame myself. I'm like, you showed up and you put in 15 minutes. And 15 minutes is better than no minutes. And that's just one more rep in the bucket towards the half marathon. The same thing is true with writing. If you could just show up and be like, all you have to do is write a shitty paragraph. At the end of the shitty paragraph, if you don't want to do this anymore, you get to stop. Because clearly writing is not happening anyway. So we just need some time for the brain to catch up. I encourage students to like brain dump is what I call it. Brain dump for 25 minutes to get the brain warmed up. Take a 5-minute break, Pomodoro method. Take a 5-minute break and then come back and look at what is your writing assignment today. And again, we're still writing shitty paragraphs. That's your second 25-minute slot, whatever you're supposed to be writing for the day. And you put a timer on your phone for 25 minutes and you do not stop typing or writing until that timer goes off. You will be shocked how many pages you have. Yes, they will be shitty. Yes, you will not be able to just turn those pages in right away. That's not the goal. The goal, your first goal, is to put words on the page. After there are words on a page, then you can sit down and edit, do the spell check, make sure you actually have paragraphs, make sure it actually makes sense. You can edit while you're watching TV or listen to music or whatever. The hardest part, though, is getting started and getting yourself to write. The easiest way that I have found and I teach students is to start with a brain dump and then writing shitty paragraphs. So I hope that's helpful. Okay. The BlackBerry is back. You got a BlackBerry? You still have one? Did they come out with new ones? I'm stunned by the percentages you mentioned. By decent effort is sometimes more than enough. It is so true. Yeah. Like, think about it. When you're having an off day and you go to work, and for those who are just joining, I say you're 10% and everyone else is 90%. Only about 30 or 40% of people have a 4-year degree. Only 3% have a terminal degree. So if you're making it all the way to the terminal degree part, like, it's pretty safe to say, like, your 10% is everybody else's 90%. And on the days, like, think about going to work and you're like, oh, I don't feel like it. And you just show up and you like, I'm just here to do the bare minimum. There's nobody coming to you being like, your work is suffering. What's going on? No, they just think it's like, it's just usual. It's only, they might come to you and be like, oh, you look a little tired. But they're not coming to you being like, you didn't do the job. No, because most likely you're doing the most already. You're probably doing 3 or 4 or 5 other people's jobs. So they're not going to notice. I'm not going to go down that rant, but I hope that's helpful. Dropping in from the UK to say hi. You finally finished. Congratulations, doctor. Thank you for letting me know. Let me make sure I take a screenshot. I'm going to need... That is my fault, doing too much. I need Instagram to have a better system. Okay. Where am I at? I'm on number 4. The 4th reason. So number 1 was you need more sleep. Lack of sleep is wasting your time. Number 2 is you give everything equal importance. Number 3 is your notifications is blocking your focus. Number 4 is lack of breaks. You don't take a break. You do not take a break. The human brain needs at least a 10 to 15 minute break an hour. Now, I know not everybody can do 10 or 15 minutes every hour, but do you know that you would perform better if you did? Like, perform better in terms of throughout your day. You would be able to do more throughout your day if you actually took more breaks. It feels counterintuitive. This is something I'm really working on with my coach. I'm like, I need breaks, girl. And I know logically that I'm supposed to take them. But what happens is I start to get into a groove, like a rhythm, and I don't want to break it. I tell myself the reason why I don't want to break it is because I'm going to lose my train of thought, or this just feels so good. But if I peel back the layers and I really get to the root of it, the reason why I don't want to take a break is I don't trust myself to keep going. I want you to think about it. You might not trust yourself to keep going. I do this a lot. Like, if I'm finally, like for content, like if I'm creating something for Instagram, I want to create 30 days worth of content because I don't trust myself to do it every day. I don't trust myself to do it every week either. Another way of saying that is I don't trust myself to be consistent. And so what I have to do is remind myself of all the ways that I'm already consistent, of all the weeks and days and years that I have been consistent. And to also remind myself, consistency does not mean perfection. What do I mean by that? We often think that to be consistent, to be a consistent writer means you show up every day and you write, let's say for an hour every single day, and you never skip a day. That is not being consistent. That is you engaging perfectionism. When you are being consistent, you might show up on Monday and write for 10 minutes. You might show up on Tuesday and write for an hour. You might show up on Wednesday and do some editing. You might show up on Thursday and be like, I read the paragraph. You might show up on Friday and be like, I'm going to edit this one section. I'm going to call it a day. That is being consistent. Consistent means I showed up. I attempted to do the thing. I practiced doing the thing. Consistency isn't I did it perfectly in the same way with the same level of intensity every single day. That's something you will build up to. That's something that will naturally happen over time. But consistency is just me saying, I'm just going to go to the gym and be on this treadmill for 15 minutes and then I'll get off. Some days I'm going to be excited. That 15 minutes is going to fly by. Some days it's going to be like, is it 15 minutes yet? Watch. Consistency it's just that you're showing up and you're practicing. All right, think about me being in high school cheerleading. Every practice wasn't the same. We practiced Monday through Thursday. Every practice wasn't the same. But it's just the fact that every day at 4 o'clock from 4 to 6, I was at practice. The fact that I showed up is being consistent. The fact that you show up is you being consistent. It's not about perfection. It's about being consistent. It is about developing habits. We focus on a lot of habits in the Finish Your Dissertation Institute. And I'll also, I believe if you type FYD, you should be able to get the link. But it's about your habits. We were talking earlier about James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's a great book, by the way, if you've not ever read it. If you are someone who is really into like productivity and time management, I swear it's a textbook that everyone needs to read. I try to listen or read it at least once or twice a year. I've been doing it since it came out in 2018 because that's how good it is and that's how dense it is. But one of his main points is we think that if we make the goals sexy, if we make a big enough goal, that's going to motivate us to keep going. It's like, that's a lie. What's going to keep you going, what's going to make sure you hit your goals is your habits. How do you set up your environment? How do you add support around you to ensure that you show up consistently and you practice your habits? So some of the habits that we have inside of Qual Scholars, thank you, Kristen, it's called Atomic Habits. Some of the habits, we have 3 rules that we follow for habits inside of Finish Your Dissertation. Rule number 1 is you follow the Scholar Basics every day. The Scholar Basics are you drink 64 ounces of water a day, you sleep for 7 hours or rest for 7 hours, you move your body for 10 minutes, you journal for 10 minutes, and you write a shitty paragraph. If you were doing those 5 things every day, you would have energy, which means you would have motivation. And if you're writing a shitty paragraph, you have momentum. We're trying to build momentum based on our habits. Rule number 2 in the group is that you evaluate and create a weekly plan every Sunday. Every Sunday we meet. We see how did the past 7 days go? What were our wins? What helped us show up? What were the obstacles that got in the way? And what do we need to focus on for the next week? And then we make a plan for the next week that includes 15 micro tasks, 15 tasks that you're going to do in 10 hours or less for the week. And if you're doing that consistently, you're just moving along in a dissertation. And then rule number 3 is that you meet with your chair or communicate with them at least once a week, and you show up with something once a month. If you're following these habits, these are all the things you need to do to finish your dissertation in 12 months. It's not about what you know. It's not about how much you're reading. It is about, do you have habits that keep you consistent and keep you moving forward? And this whole program is built around those habits, ensuring that you have the support, the know-how, and the accountability to keep it moving. And I can talk more about that if you want to, but it's about your habits, y'all. And one of the habits needs to be going to lay down somewhere, taking a break. I remember in 2020, when the pandemic started, I was working around the clock because I was a postdoc, and they were like, we don't like this work from home business. So they were making us work like 50, 60, 70 hours a week sometimes. That was just for the postdoc. This business, Qual Scholars, was just starting to take off. And I had like 20 private clients at that time. So I was working around the clock, y'all. And it got so bad that I was like, you can't keep doing this. You need a break. And so I told myself I needed to take a 24-hour period of rest where I did not do any work related to my postdoc or related to the business. And this sounds like, oh, that's such a good goal. Oh, excuse me. See, listen, even my body is like, it was not good. It felt like my body had like pins and needles. For the first like 2 or 3 months, it was the most painful thing that I ever tried to do. Because taking a break means you are forced to sit with your thoughts and your emotions. The reason why y'all love to tell me, I'm just not that type of person who can just sit still. I always have to be doing something. It's because you do not want to sit with that internal dialogue or those emotions that you feel. Whether you're conscious of them or not, what you're saying is, I don't want to sit with them. And so it's easier to just keep doing the laundry or like cleaning the house or like, let me just go check these emails, because then you don't have to sit with those thoughts and those emotions. But I forced myself to sit there. I like literally was staring at my laptop like, ooh, but if I just check an email, but what if someone needs me? But what if something happens? Like all the what ifs were going through my brain. And eventually I was like, girl, let's get out the house because this ain't going to work. Now lockdown was a little bit hard, right? But there was only so many places we could go. But this is where I started like walking in malls, because malls were still open to walk around. Or I was living in Maryland and I didn't know anybody and it was my first time. So I just started like driving to different places, anything to keep my brain off of wanting to work. And then eventually I got the idea to just start walking outside. And I almost got to I was like, I'm going to do a half marathon is where the goal first came in. And I was doing well, but it helped me. And what I started to notice was that every time I took the 24-hour rest period, I was able to perform better throughout the week. I was able to get more done. I was more focused, like my brain was fresh. And I was like, wait a minute. Self-care, how I think about it, self-care is I'm going to do a thing that I don't particularly want to do, but I'm doing it for the outcome. I do it for the result. Like my nails, I hate going to get my nails done, but I love pretty nails. I hate the process. So I'm willing to do a thing I don't like because I like the outcome. In the same way, I'm willing to take the break because I like the outcome. I like the fact that I'm able to get more done. I want you to think about it that way. If you can start thinking about breaks and rest as a way for you to do like all this big shit that you're trying to do, like become a whole ass doctor, it requires you to rest. This is why athletes take so much time to recover and to rest. Right? Kobe Bryant was taking like 3 or 4 naps a day. Why? Because rest is how you become one of the top performers, the top athletes at the time. You need to go lay down. You are a professional athlete of a way in terms of school. Again, what did I say? 3% of people. That means you are the best of the best of the best. That means you need to recover like the best do. All right. Let me know. Are you still following me? Put a 1 in the chat, please. I just want to make sure y'all are still here with me. Put a 1 in the chat. Which then brings me to number 5, which is you overschedule yourself. I want you to look at your calendar right now. Thank y'all for the 1s. I want you to look at your calendar or look at how you spent your time this past week. What did your calendar look like? Was it stacked? Did you like every little free space? Did you have something scheduled? Did you put breaks in your calendar? Do you how much white space is on your calendar? Or is it like, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that? When you are looking at a calendar that is filled, like I get into routine, like ruts where I end up doing this to myself, and every single time I regret it. I have to bring myself back out of it. It sounds good in the moment to be like, I have every moment planned. But what happens, your nervous system looks at your calendar and is like, we don't have time to do anything. We're never going to get everything done because there's not enough time. Even if you planned out every single thing, your nervous system does not speak in terms of logic. Like your nervous system, the part that's been with you since you started to form as a human, does not understand logic the way the front of your brain does. The nervous system is like, if you don't have any white space on this calendar, that means you're never going to get your goals done. And so it's going to constantly be feeding you that thought of, or that story of, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough time. And you're going to constantly be worried about, am I going to graduate? Am I going to be able to do it this semester? Am I going to have to stay another semester? You can't focus on writing a good dissertation when you're constantly worried about if you have enough time. In the same way, you can't do good work in any area of your life if you're constantly worried if you have enough time, if you're constantly looking at the clock, if you're constantly checking your schedule and like how many more weeks I have left, how many more days do I have left. You can't focus on writing when your brain is being hijacked by, we don't have enough time. But instead, if you give yourself some space, so earlier I said, right, when we are planning on Sundays as a group, the goal is to identify 15 tasks that will take you, each task should take you less than 30 or 20 minutes to complete. That's what I mean by like micro tasks. If you have 15 of those, you're only working for 7.5 hours, but you get so much done. And that means there's more white space on the calendar. Because if I only have 7.5 hours worth of work, I could get that done in 3 or 4 days throughout the week. And I still have another 3 or 4 days in case something comes up or something happens with the dissertation that I have to do sooner than I did not plan. At least I have white space in the calendar to allow for things that are going to come up. Life is going to continue to life, y'all. And so if you try to plan out every single minute, you're not making room for life to life. And so when it does do something, now you're frustrated and you're overwhelmed and you're burnt out because you didn't plan for life happening. You thought if I could just make the perfect plan and it can go the way I have it down, then everything will be fine. But that is foolish because life don't care about your plan. Your family, like little kids, other people who need you don't care about that perfect plan you tried to write. Instead of hoping that life doesn't life, we plan for lifing, which is another reason why we do an evaluation every Sunday. And a question that I ask people is, what were the obstacles that got in your way last week? What did you do? So if last week your intention was to, write your discussion chapter, but your 2-year-old was running a fever because they got, ill at daycare and you had to stay up with them all night and you didn't get to write that discussion chapter, right? Now we need to know about that because most likely that 2-year-old's going to get sick again because they're 2 and they're at daycare and it's a cesspool like. And so now you can learn from the past and say, okay, last week I wasn't prepared for the baby to get sick. What will I do in the future when the baby gets sick again? What will be my process? If I still had another goal that I want to do, but unexpectedly the 2-year-old gets sick, what is something that I could do? Could I am I going to choose to wake up a little bit earlier during those times? Am I going to choose to say, you know what, I'm just going to take care of the baby and I'll just push it off? Am I going to ask for someone if they can be on standby if it happens again, that I could drop the baby off or they can come over and I can go a couple of hours and do some writing? We plan for things ahead of time as much as possible. If it happened before, let's just go ahead and just count on it's going to happen again. So we don't need to be surprised. We just have this happens. Last time this happened, I did this time I already planned that I'm going to do it this way. Right? We plan for the life. Every day but Tuesday looks like a list of bullet points. And even that, right, and I don't know what your bullet points are, but I'm just going to guess, say you're having bullet points of Monday, I'm going to meet with my chair and I need to go to the store to get dinner stuff. And, I need to read these 3 books. And, I need to make sure I call so-and-so. That's probably a different example. But if it's in bullet points, how does your brain know what to do first? And maybe you already did this process, like you prioritize it. But usually I know that people just make a bullet, like they make a to-do list and they don't do anything else. How does your brain know what to do first? How much time does each bullet point, how much time is it going to take? So something I have people do on Sundays is I say, okay, what is everything that you need to do? And they might write it in a bullet point. And I say, how much time do you think it will take you? Or like, we're going to make our best guess how much time it's going to take you. Because you might find that you may only have 4 items on a bullet point list, but it may take you 40 hours to do it, depending on what the items are. But your brain might say, well, it's only 4 things. I should have done it. I should have been able to get it done. But when you do the math, you're like, the math ain't math. And I thought I was going to be able to do 40 hours worth of work in a 24-hour period. It don't make sense. So at the minimum, I'm going to ask you to guess how much time you're going to give yourself for each bullet point. And if you want something, if you want to nerd out with me, I want you to go look up Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law. And that is a law that says things expand within the container that you put them in. So if you say, oh, it's going to take me 2 hours to read this article, it's going to take you 2 hours. If you say it's going to take me 20 minutes to write this paragraph, it's going to take you 20 minutes. It's going to, however long you give it is how long it's going to take. So that's why I want you to give it your best guess of how long you think each of those bullet points will take. And then I want you to assess, based on this time, is this appropriate for this day, or do I need to move some things around? At a minimum, I want you to do that. And then as you get more in the habit of doing that, then we want to start thinking about, okay, do I want to have a set schedule for when I do my dissertation work and not only make things fit in that time period? Okay, where am I at? I got 2 more. I have a whole list, but I'm going to come back and do this because my voice is starting to go out. Let me get a sip of water. Okay, number 6. This is going to be a doozy. The number 6 reason that is wasting your time is your people pleasing. Something, okay, lock twin. Okay, so you getting me distracted already, Julian. But I say people pleasers are liars and manipulators. Let me say it again for the people in the back who are multitasking. People pleasers are liars and manipulators. And as a recovering people pleaser myself, okay? People pleasers are liars and manipulators. What do I mean by that? You are saying yes when you want to say no. You are saying no when you want to say yes. You are making certain facial expressions when you don't want to make them. You are trying to perform a certain way because you want to change how people view you. The reason why we people please is because we want the other person on the other side or the other people or whatever to have a certain view of us. I know, Chris. You see, I'm saying it in a calm voice. Because, like, I was over here trying to be like, I'm going to just ease it in. At one point in our lives, people pleasing was a survival strategy. You are no longer in that situation. Most of you are no longer in a situation where you need to people please in order to preserve your survival, your safety. Now it's just a habit that you do. And you're lying because you're not being your authentic self. And it's manipulation because people are interacting with a version of us that's not who we are. They think we want to do the things. They think we're on the same page as them. And then what happens is when we can't take the people pleasing anymore, we're like, oh, these people don't appreciate me. They're taking me for granted. And then we blow up. Now those people are confused because they're like, well, you didn't say anything before. How was I supposed to know? This is how it shows up in like the academic setting. Your chair, right? You go meet. Here's what I see a lot. Like you go meet with your chair and it's like the vibe, y'all vibing. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah, you want me to do this? I could do that. And they're like, yeah, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And you write it down. And then you leave that meeting. And you have no memory of actually what happened in that meeting. Your notes don't even make sense. So you don't know what they're saying. And now you have shame because you don't want to go back and tell them and admit to them, like, actually, I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do. And now you feel like, well, since they told me and I didn't say anything in the meeting, now I have to go figure it out for myself. And now you're down rabbit holes and you're Googling and you're on ChatGPT trying to figure out what they said instead of just emailing them. If we bring it back a little bit, what you didn't realize is that your nervous system was hijacked before you went into that meeting. Let me break that down what I mean. Your chair is in a position of power, right? Your brain is like, this is the person who's going to sign my paperwork. This is the person who determines if I become a doctor or not. And because you were socialized to please people in power and authority, you go in there and you're like, I'm going to shake my head enthusiastically. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to perform being someone who is putting this person in power in their rightful position by making them think, like acquiescing to everything that they're saying. A lot of this, y'all, and let me be clear, a lot of this is not conscious in the moment. So that's why I'm talking to you and I'm being this like flippant about it, because I'm trying to get your attention. A lot of it is not conscious. A lot of it is a survival instinct. So you go into this meeting and you're like, yeah, because you want to do a good job. Like you want to meet their expectations. You want to do it the way that they have laid it out for you so that you can get done as quickly as possible and you can become a doctor. And so when you go in there, you're saying yes, but you have no idea what's going on. And you're afraid to tell them, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what you're talking about. Because there's a voice, whether it's your voice or somebody else who's reinforcing it for you, that says, but you should know. But you should know, like you made it this far, you should know what they're talking about. And my question to you and those people are, how would you know how to do a thing if no one has ever taught you? How are you supposed to know something that you literally do not know? How are you going to make yourself know something that you don't know? Because a lot of faculty forget that they're talking to students. They forget that they're talking to someone this is their very first time doing a research project, designing a research project on their own, trying to write a literature review, trying to figure out a topic and research questions. It's your first time. How are you supposed to know how to do a thing if you've never done it before? Are you just supposed to like figure it out? Now, ancestors, people who came before us, they probably had to figure it out, but that doesn't have to be your story. You can say to your chair, like, I get that you're talking, but I have no idea what you just said. Can you slow that down and explain it to me? 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, oh, I didn't realize you didn't know. Let me explain it. Now, there's going to be those PETAs, let's keep it PG, those PETAs, who are like, I shouldn't have to explain this to you. You are a doc student. That is good information to know. It's good information to know that they responded to you that way. Why? Because now you know that's not the person I go to talk to at first. Now you know when I need help, when I need somebody to break something down for me, I go find somebody who's safe. A rule that we have inside of Finish Your Dissertation, I'm like, you go find you a safe reviewer, or you go find you someone who is safe that you can ask your questions to. People ask me all sorts of questions in the group. And I make sure to tell them there's no question that's dumb or silly, because if you don't know, you don't know. So if you need to ask me a question of like, well, how many paragraphs should I write for each literature review section? I'm going to answer for you. If you're like, I really don't even know what a methodology is, I'm going to answer it for you. If you're like, I know I should know how to write an academic paper or a paragraph, but how do I write a paragraph? Do you know we have a whole training where I say, this is how you write a paragraph? Why? Because I'm not assuming that you know how to do a thing. It is very realistic that you got this far and nobody's ever sat down with you to be like, this is how you write an academic paragraph. This is the purpose of a literature review. This is how you figure out how many paragraphs or how many pages a section should be. I'm not assuming that you know that. Higher ed, though, is a place where there's a lot of people who are performing that they know what they're doing and they don't. Because their pride and their ego and just how we're socialized in general won't let them be honest about, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it up. And the reason why I'm telling you that you should know what you're doing is because I can't explain it to you. But I can't tell you I can't explain it to you because I'm your chair and I'm supposed to be all-knowing. That's BS. No one is all-knowing. I am saying you don't have to people please your way through it. You need to find someone who is safe, or a community that is safe enough to be able to explain those things, number one. Number two, before you do go meet with that person, especially if they have told you things like, well, you should know that. You're a student. I shouldn't have to tell you things like that. Before you meet with that person, take a minute to calm your nervous system. Right? This is how you get into a conversation with them and they're telling you to do all these things, but you are not able to pay attention. Why? Because your nervous system is like danger. Your nervous system thinks that when you go to meet with your chair, it's the same thing as walking into a burning building. Your nervous system does not know the difference between you having a conversation with your chair and you walking into literal fire, because it's all the same. It's like you're going to hurt yourself because this person is not safe. So what I tell people to do is record the meeting in some way. Whether that's you recording it as like a voice note, if you're on Zoom using like Otter or something where it can come in and it can transcribe the meeting for you, and it'll also give you notes. The other thing I ask students to do is to write an agenda ahead of time. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a few bullet points, but you just want to write an email to your chair and just say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, in preparation of our meetings, I just want to make sure that we talk about this, this, and this. And here are my questions that I have. This is why one of the habits or the rules inside the program is that you need to communicate with your chair at least once a week. Because if you're communicating with them, and I actually give you an agenda, I actually give you a mock email so you know what to do. But the purpose of checking in with them every week is to say, here's what I'm working on. Here's my one goal for the month. Here are some possible questions I might have, but I'll double check with you. Because if you're doing that every week through email, they're not confused about what's going on with you. And so when you do meet with them and you're like, I really don't know what to do, they're not thrown off. Like, it shouldn't be new to them because you communicated with them. But also the petty reason why we're doing this, why we are taking notes and we have an agenda and we're transcribing it, is because if they try to play in your face, if they try to say you didn't do something or they didn't know what was going on, you have so many receipts. Play with your mama, don't play with me, because I got receipts. If they try to say like you're not meeting expectations, yes, I am. You see all these notes I have, you see all these transcripts, you see all... I've been doing it. I've asked you on this date and this date and this date, and you didn't give me an answer. You see what the transcript said? You didn't give me an answer. I get that you might be thinking like I shouldn't have to do all of this, but higher ed is full of unsafe people, and you must protect yourself, because at the end of the day, who you have most is you. Who's responsible for your inner child is you. And if that means you got to send an email or you got to transcribe or you got to do the Otter thing, that's what you have to do. And they may have an attitude about it. Oh, well, this is why we're stopping people pleasing. Because when you're people pleasing for others, you're abandoning yourself. You don't have to abandon yourself to be a doctor. Like, you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I don't know whether fire analogies are coming in that, but that's where we are, y'all. People pleasing, it's not helping you, it's helping everybody else but you. And that is why we start to get a lot of resentment and a lot of frustration and a lot of like, I just want to cut everybody off, because we're expecting people to know something that they don't know. Like, as humans, we're selfish. Like, how we're built, we are trying to like think about us. Like, it takes a lot to think about other people. And if the other people around us are not being honest about how they feel and what they want to do and what they don't want to do, we're definitely not going to get it. And so this is why having systems like this, of like an agenda or like saying ahead of time, I want to make sure we cover this, is to help yourself. Because you know, when you go into that room, your brain is going to shut off, but at least you sent an agenda to keep you on track, and you are recording the conversation that you can listen to it later. Here are some other statements that I have if people are asking you to do extra tasks or extra committees or whatnot at work or something like that. Say, thank you for thinking of me. I really do appreciate it, but I have to say no right now. I just don't have the capacity. You can say, I'm already committed to something else at that time, like I have another appointment, but I really do appreciate the offer. Let's see. My partner and I have a rule that we check in with one another before we agree to external commitments, because we just want to ensure that we got childcare covered. Let me check my schedule. And then you send a friendly email that says no. Or my favorite is you go to ChatGPT and you like, hey, I need to say no to this person but my people pleasing is getting in the way. Like I literally say this to ChatGPT. I'm like, I want to people please and say yes, but I really can't do this. I got this, or I just don't want to because it's boring. Like, can you write a message for me? And ChatGPT gets like, I got your back. Here's your message. And you can make it sound like you, but I use it a lot because it will take a lot of like brain power for me to try to figure out how to get the words just right when it can do it in like 5 seconds because it's AI. So those are some strategies for you for the people pleasing. Maybe I'll do like a whole live on people pleasing, but I hope that was helpful. Okay. And then reason number 7, why you're wasting time in a dissertation, is you're not using your micro moments, is what I call them. You know, those like 5 or 10 minutes in between meetings, or like, oh, I was supposed to go like, I don't know, I had an appointment somewhere, but I got there 10 minutes early. Instead of scrolling on your phone, or you got off of Zoom early and you still got like 5 minutes before your next meeting, before you go scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, do something towards your dissertation or whatever the goal is. You want to learn how to break things up into like 5-minute tasks. And what I'm going to do, I gave a list inside of the group. I'm going to read some of the things off of that list. So one thing is, we talk about shitty paragraphs. I'm like, you can write a shitty paragraph on your phone. I'm thinking about students who do that a lot. If they're like in line or they're taking their kids somewhere, they'll pull up their phone and write a shitty paragraph, because a shitty paragraph, it's just 4 sentences that you put on a page, and you're going to trust yourself that you can edit it later and make it more closer to the final version of what you wanted it to look like. You can run spell check on a shitty paragraph. Let's see. You can skim a chapter that you're thinking about reading. You can spend like 5 minutes double checking a citation, making sure it's in the right format, right? You can go drink 8 ounces of water because you're dehydrated and your brain would like for you to drink some water. You could, if you're inside of the Finish Your Dissertation Institute, you can come into Circle, go to Ask a Coach and ask me to help you with your next 3 steps for the week, right? You can send your chair an email. Like, what are those things that you can fit in 5 or 10 minutes? A lot of times we think, oh, if I'm going to do something as important as a dissertation, then I need to take a solid 2 hours or 4 hours. No, how can you start chipping away at things in 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here? What I teach people is like, make this dissertation fit around your life, because not everybody got the luxury of sitting there for hours every day, every week. You got a whole life. You have a lot of other responsibilities. Then you can finish the dissertation in these little micro moments. What it requires is you making a list or making your plan. Oh, sorry about the thumbs up, but making your weekly plan in a way that it helps you to take action. This is why every Sunday I'm like 15 tasks that take 30 minutes or less. Because if you are making a plan in that way, it becomes easy. Oh, my meeting ended early. Let me just go do this one thing. Oh, I thought I was gonna, have something at the end of the day, but I can go do this thing. You can even do this at home, right? Like if you're going to take a break from writing, like if you're writing at home, when you go take your 10-minute break, use that 10 minutes to go empty the dryer or fill up the dishwasher or, clean out that one corner of your office. Like, it's like, how can we do these little micro tasks? Because they're going to add up. You're going to look up and you're going to have a whole dissertation written. It reminds me of Alex in the group Dale in the group. She wrote on Circle and she was like, I told my chair, she's like, I met with my chair and I told my chair I didn't do anything all summer. She had like a death in the family. She got married and it was just summertime. And she had met with her chair in August and was like, I didn't even get anything done. And her chair was like, that's not true. I have a whole proposal in front of me. She did not realize that she wrote a whole proposal because she was just doing a shitty paragraph here or working on a page of edits here. And as she was doing things, she was sending it to her chair. And her chair was compiling it into one document. So when they met in August, her chair was like, you gave me a whole proposal. Now we're just going to work on editing it. That's what I mean by if you get things to fit in little time slots, it may not feel like a lot in the moment, but over time, you will be way further along than if you are just waiting for the perfect circumstances for everything to line up. Okay, so if you are still here, tell me the one thing that you are taking from today's conversation. I'm going to go over the 7 that I talked about, and I'm going to come back. I have like 7 more to talk about, and I'll probably do that tomorrow. So one is you are not sleeping enough, which is wasting your time because it's causing you to overwork. Number 2, you think everything has equal importance on your to-do list. Number 3, you have your notifications on your phone, which is taking your brain longer to get back on focus. Number 4, you're not taking enough breaks every day, every week, every month. Number 5, you're overscheduling yourself. You don't have any white space, so you don't have any room for in case life starts to life. Number 6, you're people pleasing, which is causing you to do extra work because you probably have no idea what was happening because you were people pleasing. And then number 7, not using your micro moments, not using the 10 minutes here, the 5 minutes here. If any of this sounds good, if you're like, girl, I need this type of support in my life, I want you to either type FYD or go to qualscholars.com, and you can learn all about like programs or coaching. You can also DM me if you don't want to go do all of that, but we can have a conversation. The Finish Your Dissertation Institute is where you will write your dissertation in 12 months or less. I probably should change the name, but it's such a good name for marketing purposes. But let me tell you why I'm talking about changing the name. What I'm teaching you in there is like, yeah, we're going to talk about the dissertation, but most of what we do inside of that program is helping you to show up so that you can do your best work in less time. What I mean by doing your best work is like doing like strategies like this, where I'm going through this process and I'm telling you like, you're doing this, but if you did this, it will help you. I am teaching you how to set yourself up, how to work, how to read, how to write. These are skills that you're not only going to need for your dissertation, but you're going to need throughout the rest of your career, especially if you continue on like writing in any capacity, because I use these same strategies and process like to write. Like I wrote a book in July about how to write the dissertation. We have people who come back even after they graduate because it's about a life system. I'm teaching you how to manage your time. I'm teaching you how to stop people pleasing. I'm teaching you how to have confidence in yourself. Like for me, I want you to walk out the program being like, I can handle anything. I trust myself that no matter what life throws at me, I trust myself to have my back and know how to figure out my next steps. Like to me, that is more important than you having this like perfect dissertation that you spent hours and hours on. You're going to have a good dissertation. Like people regularly win awards, like win Dissertation of the Year awards. I know that's the minimum. That's the floor, friend. You're going to have a good dissertation. What I want you to know is that you have confidence in yourself, that you're not like the rest of the folks out here who are still, they don't trust themselves and they're working themselves trying to prove their worth when you already going to know that. So if that link does not get sent to you, make sure you check your, what is that folder? The one that if you're not following me, it comes into a different folder on Instagram so that you have that. Thank y'all so much for sharing what you're taking away. 5-minute slides to 1090, sleeping enough, get more sleep. And maybe I'll also do a live on how to sleep hygiene, because it's something that is hard for me to do as well. And I have to really make a conscious effort of having a routine at night. So like for instance, as a preview, what I'm going to do after this live is I'm going to go feed the dog. I'm going to run a bath, and it's going to try to make it hot, but not too hot, but it's going to be hot. I have a star projector that I put in the bathroom because it keeps me calm. I have a playlist that I have, and I'm going to make me a magnesium drink, because most humans are depleted in their magnesium, and magnesium is what keeps us calm. Like, especially if you're someone who navigates a lot of panic and anxiety, magnesium is going to be your friend, because while I'm in the tub, that's going to calm me down. And then I'm going to have a snack. And usually when I do those things, I knock right out. I go to sleep. So that's going to be that. And maybe I will talk more about that. I recorded my audio note, and I can use a transcription for my blog. I cannot wait to read it, and I hope that you let us listen to it. So I use Calm. There's a lot of magnesium supplements, like you can get it in pill form, but I get it in powder form. And the Calm, I like it because it is strawberry lemonade flavor or raspberry lemonade flavor. CALM. You can get it at like GNC or Amazon or what have you. And it's going to be probably $20 a container, and it's going to be a small container, but I want you to get it because that container is going to last you months, because you're only taking like 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1/2 of a teaspoon, like a day, and you just put it in a mug of hot water and you drink it, and it just calms you down. You can drink it at any time. I also have like CBD gummies because I'm all about calming my nervous system, because I get But I swear by Calm, it helps me. There's a lot out there on the market, but that's been the one that's been my ride or die. Yeah, magnesium. Oh, Calm. The Calm. And you can make sure you get, is it magnesium glycinate, if you get it in pill form, because there's multiple types of magnesium. But you just want to be careful that you don't overdo it with the magnesium, friend, because you will not come out the bathroom. Okay, I'm trying not to get too graphic, but number 2 would be your friend all day. If you, that's how you know you're taking too much. You want to find the sweet spot where you're regular, but it's still solid. Okay. Listen, Sade, like, for real, it's a real thing. I've gone overboard many a times, and I've been so sad. But if you want to be regular, like if you're someone who don't get enough fiber, magnesium. Yeah, magnesium citrate, I think it's the devil. Okay, I don't know what's in it. It messed my stomach all the way up, and I was like, never again. I'm gonna stick to this powder. All right, I will try to come back tomorrow, y'all. This has been great. I'm going to put up the recording in case you missed the beginning. But thank y'all so much. Think about what we talked about today and let me know if you have any questions about the program or about anything. Okay, y'all, good night.